Leigh Adams had a cracking year last year, an absolute beauty, and he's one of the leaders down there at the Kangaroos. I know some of the young boys are going down to Hobart for a bit of a camp, get to know each other, and he joins us. G'day, Leigh.
G'day, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks, mate. Heading off down the Tassie with the young fellas. Should be a bit of fun, but before we get to that, just looked on the website, and a big, heavy clash down there. Robbie Tarrant and Ben Spate. Is everybody okay?
Yeah, a couple of casualties today, but both boys copped a bit of a head knock, but both boys got strapped back up and came back on and finished the game, so there's no worries there.
Any stitches to Robbie Tarrant? I reckon he'd be a bit worried about getting that face knocked around a bit.
Yeah, he wouldn't want those boys' good looks to go missing, but he managed to escape without any stitches. But poor Benny State had about 5 or 6 put in the top of his eyelid, so...
Oh, beauty.
Yeah, not going to be in the Mrs. Good book.
They will not. Now, Lee, what happens down in Tassie? I mean, it's great news that you blokes will be playing a couple of games in Hobart, and I think they call it Bloodstone Arena these days, Bloodstone Stadium. They're going to get a lot of cash from the federal government. I know Eugene Arocka was down there hanging around with the boss, the president, Julia, and things are looking well for you down there, but just... the trip, what's going to be happening with you and the young lads who have just joined the Roos? Yeah,
there's actually 2 different trips going down. We've got probably our first year blokes are going down with our new development coach Brady Rawlings, and they're going to be put through a sort of a mini pre-season camp, so test a bit of their fitness and mental strength down there. And there's also a group of us, a few of the older boys that are going to Devonport to run a few clinics and just try and get everyone down in Tassie a bit more excited about us coming down there for a couple of times this year.
Well, I reckon they've got reason to be excited, Lee. From what I can understand, and Brad Scott, the way he's talking, and what I read, ninth place isn't good enough anymore. But I think most people think there's a bit of excitement down your neck of the woods and are expecting bigger things. How's everyone looking? How are the times going? We hear other clubs there this far ahead this time of year. What are the Roos saying?
Yeah, we're in a pretty similar boat to most other clubs, I'd say, about this time of year. We're flying for this time of year for us. We've done a lot harder pre-seasons than we've done in the past, and most importantly, a bit different to last year. About this time of year, we had about 10 blokes in the rehab group, so we've got minimum numbers in the rehab group this year. So 40 plus blokes out on the track, which always helps coming to this time of year.
Lee, when I do my little bit of research that I do when I get you blokes on, you were in the elite in the league for score assists last year, and number 1 at North Melbourne. Is that something that mentally you've always been good at? Because I imagine it's just something you look for when stats. You can't train to be someone who assists scoring. Is it something that you've just always been keen to get into your game?
Yeah, it's not something I've consciously done. I suppose with the role I played last year, I played a lot through the half-forward line and going on ball, so I sort of had that licence to get a little bit forward of the ball when the time was right and hit up those leading forwards, which always helps.
And Lee, every time we get someone from North Melbourne on now, I'm asking this question out of order here. Every single time, and I usually steer away from it, but there's so many this time I've got to ask you. Magic Door, how's he running?
Yeah, Magic Door, he had a little bit of a knee scope just before Christmas, so he's one of the few that are actually in the rehab group that I'd say he'd probably be back into main training within the next week or two. And before Christmas he's going really well, and one of the areas Magic had to work on with his fitness, and he'd come along in leaps and bounds in that way. So I can imagine that once he gets up and going again, he's going to be pretty exciting again this year.
And Lee, lots of running to be done in pre-season. We all understand that. You're into the gym. Have the balls come out yet down there at the Kangaroos?
Yeah, the balls have been out. From just before Christmas we got them out, and after Christmas it's been a lot of skills. We've been 3.5 hour skill sessions out in the heat with running in between drills. So the strength and conditioning coaches have set it up really well to make sure that we're getting that skill efficiency right, because it was a major point that it probably let us down last year. And
is that something Brad Scott's got you doing? Because obviously last year that's what he talked about after games when he didn't perform. It was just actually getting the ball to other players. That's really been the main focus for you guys.
Yeah, it definitely has. We've taken a lot of stats over the pre-season and did a big emphasis on our kicking efficiency. So at this time of year it's looking really good, but time will tell once we get into the NAB Cup and the start of the season whether the hard work pays off.
And what about the forward setup? Any chance that might change? I mean, you don't have to tell us the ins and outs. I know it's always kept close to the chest, but the game plan for the Roos, has that been tweaked?
No, I'd say it'd be pretty similar to last year. There's obviously a few little minor tweaks, but yeah, the main philosophy behind it will still be pretty similar to last year. Hopefully we can play some pretty exciting footy.
And we always ask this question, mate. The young blokes, who's impressed you? Who's come through?
Yeah, all the blokes are looking pretty good. We've got a few mature age recruits in Sam Gibson, who's going really well as our first pick, Brad McKenzie, who's got some elite football kicking skills. So, yeah, those are probably the two standouts at the moment, but all the first-year players are going really well.
And tell us a little bit about Drew Petrie. I mean, I can imagine Kangaroo supporters just being excited about the prospect of actually having him for an entire year. How's he shaping up?
Yeah, Drew is going really well. He's as fit as a fiddle as always, and yeah, I'm sure he'll carry on from where he finished off last year.
How about Leigh? You have pre-seasons now. You've done quite a few. Are they getting easier? Are they getting tougher? How just personally are you getting through them now?
No, they're not getting any easier. I can assure you that for sure. No, this has definitely been the hardest one I've been involved in this year, and yeah, a lot of different running where it's a lot more intense, shorter burst running, which is which makes it a lot harder with a lot less recovery times.
And Leigh, when you get down to Hobart, and it's not just a bunch of running and just some more training down there. Quite often the coaches, they put things that test your mettle down there as well. Stuff that maybe you weren't expecting. Is Brad Scott the sort of coach who does that, or is that something at North Melbourne you've experienced since you've been there?
Yeah, we did a lot of that in the early days and in my first couple of years at the club, and I can imagine there'd be something along those lines that's going to test them mentally at some stage during the camp for sure.
And also, Leigh, we know that it's very, very important to get the members down there at the Kangaroos. So go to the website, do all that sort of stuff. How have they been turning over at the moment? Are you privy to that sort of information?
Yeah, I think we're going. I'm not. Don't have exact numbers, but I think we're going pretty well. But for this time of year, but as always at North, we need as much supporters to turn into members as possible. Yeah,
I know this year you got a much friendlier draw too. Last year was a bit unfair, I reckon. I reckon most people who had a good look at the teams and where you had to play at the start of the season last year would agree. But good luck for 2012. We'll be watching, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
Leigh Adams from the Kangaroos, one of the most underrated players in the competition.